Okay. Okay. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Come on in and let's get going here. We getting started. I'm trying to button up my shirt, but don't worry about that right now. That's not important. All right. Let's see Instagram. Let's do this here. Let's go back. There we go. All right. Okay. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Pamela Wilson. You all come on in Instagram and Facebook. I got my little phones and computers set up. We're going to get started in a second. Good morning. That's my wife. Good morning. First Lady Scott. All right. There you all go. There you go. There you go. All right. Let's just pause. Just take a pause and just thank God for another day. I don't care what you're going through, what you're dealing with now. Just pause and say, Lord, thank you for another day. That's real talk, man. And I believe that when you establish that premise daily, it'll start your day out, at least on a better note than yesterday. You know, what tomorrow, whether the day affords us, we don't know. But we know today is the day of Thanksgiving. All right. So y'all come on in. Good morning, Rita Henry, Crystal McDonald, Brother Benita. Good morning to you. These are some of the faithful members. Good morning, Pat Smith, Rita Henry, once again, Alicia, Mother Normette. That's one of my spiritual mothers. I have several spiritual mothers. Comacita, good morning to you. Good morning. I text you. Hope I still have the right number, Comacita. I did text you the other morning. Prayerfully, I have your number. We're coming to your city. We'll talk about that later. All right. Again, y'all come on in. Beverly Gooden. Gooden is a resident of Scott Manor, a senior housing complex. Good morning to you. BJ Slim, Carmeletta Dansbury, Gerald Harris. There we go. Instagram. Doris is on Instagram. This Dembry joined. Okay, I think that's Dembry. Okay, let's get started. As always, I'm humbled and thankful to God for the opportunity to share, and I believe that God is going to use me today to empower you, to cause you to break out of your shell, my God, and seize the moment. Miles Monroe said this. He said, "Die empty, die empty. Don't leave nothing. Leave it all on the field." That's how I think. All right. So talking about arise, 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 get up, arise, and place a demand on your ability. This is good stuff, man. It's about to get, as we going in deep today. Place a demand on your ability. All right. You've been empowered. You've been instilled with greatness. You have all an abundance of possibilities in you. Abundance, more than you realize. That's real talk. All right. So what is ability? Ability is the natural tendency to do something successfully and well. Ability is intelligence and competence. I'm going to challenge you today to think in terms of you're not really giving all that God has given you in terms of your ability. Trust what I tell you. None of us, for that matter. Let's be real with ourselves. All right. There's so much more that we can do and that we should do. So I talked about self-efficacy, self-efficacy, SELF-EFFICACY. All right. Self-efficacy. I mentioned it Monday. I'm going to build up on that today. So self-efficacy refers to the set of beliefs we hold about our ability to complete a particular task, our ability to achieve a goal or complete a task depends on whether we think we can do it, which is self-efficacy, and whether we think it will have good results, which is outcome efficacy. Self-efficacy has important effects on the amount of individual, or rather of effort individuals apply to a given task. Someone with high levels, listen to this, high levels of self-efficacy for a given task will be resilient and persistent in the face of setbacks. My God. While someone with low levels of self-efficacy for that task may get discouraged and avoid the situation. So it is critically important that we build our self-efficacy. All right. That is our ability to complete a particular task, our ability to achieve a goal or complete a task. Again, it depends on our self-efficacy, man. It's how you see yourself. So there are three enemies. There are three enemies that fight against our self-efficacy and our ability. What is an enemy? An enemy is a foe. An enemy is an adversary. An enemy is a threat to your success. Boy, I feel God already. I'm setting you up to today. Get ready. I'm setting you up, God. So an enemy, I want you to again understand that we have enemies that fight against our self-efficacy. The number one enemy that fight against our self-efficacy and ability is a deficiency in our internal self-awareness. A deficiency in our internal self-awareness. The deficiency would suggest there's something dysfunctional. There is a lack of something. You know, I take vitamins as a supplement. Why? Because I have a deficiency in certain areas. So I have to offset the deficiency with vitamins. All right, because the body obviously changes and it needs certain nutrients and certain vitamins to have some level of health. So number one, a deficiency in our self-awareness. And more so, I should have said this in more. Let me say this: internal. Write down internal self-awareness. Yes, internal self-awareness means knowing your values and personality, strengths, and weaknesses. Once again, internal. We're not talking about external. We're talking about the inward person now. All right. Internal self-awareness means knowing your values and personality, strengths, and weaknesses. Self-awareness is how an individual consciously knows and understands their own character, feelings, motives, and desires. All right, again, an enemy. And all of us have an internal enemy, internal self-awareness. It's knowing your values. It is knowing your personality strengths. It is knowing your weaknesses. All right. If an individual don't know their values, what they stand for, what they will and will not do, oh, I feel God this morning. They have no boundaries. They don't have lines in terms of restrictions. They'll say anything. They'll do anything. They'll act any kind of way. That's an enemy. That's an enemy when it comes to you maximizing your ability. Why? Because if you don't have a handle on your values, a handle on your personality strengths, a handle on your weaknesses, guess what? You'll self-destruct. I don't care what gift. Listen, when Jacob was naming his sons, he was giving them their personality and their destiny. He says, Reuben, you're number one, but Reuben, you're just like water, man. You're unstable. Jesus. He said, Reuben, you're unstable. You're my firstborn. You're the strength of my might, but you're unstable. You're unstable as water. That's what Jacob said to Reuben, his number one son. So the first enemy, once again, a deficient in our self-awareness. Self-awareness is how the individual, hear this, how an individual consciously knows, you know, and understands your own character, man. Your feelings, your motives, and desires. If you have not discovered that within your internal governorship, guess what? No one else has the right, or no one else can say to you this, that, or the other, because inwardly You haven't discovered who you are emotionally. Jesus, help us, God. I can recall as a young man, without having my father in my life, and very vividly, the nights of crying and brokenness, went through life broke. You know, that male figure was not part of my life in a very positive way, because got saved, got in the church, and the preacher became the role model. Others who were in the pulpit and leaders, men particularly, role models. But even all that being said, being surrounded by a good support system, I had an internal issue. So I had to realize that I got to deal with my self-awareness, my feelings, my emotions. All right. And it's still working on it. Still working. Even when you accomplish that sense of awareness, it's always a juggling act. It's never like I've arrived. Jesus, my God, there's always going to be a moment where you'll have peaks and highs and lows, ups and downs, because when you accomplish it in one area, there's another area you got to work on. All right. Number two, the second enemy that fights against your self-awareness and ability is a deficiency in our external self-awareness. External. So you got internal, you have external. So I have an internal self-awareness and I have an external self-awareness. All right. So external self-awareness is the ability to see ourselves clearly, to understand who we are, how others see us, and how we fit into the world around us. This is good stuff, man. Let me say it to you again. Say it to you again. External self-awareness is the ability. That means it's an acquired behavior to see ourselves clearly, to understand who we are, how others see us, and how we fit into the world around us. Let me say this to you. If you have not discovered who you are, and you're not aware of how you're affecting people, oh, come on. If you haven't discovered how you fit in the world around you, that's a major deficit. That's a deficiency, you all. External self-awareness is how others perceive you rather than introspection. External self-awareness requires you to gather insights from the world around you. This is a hard one for most of us. The interesting thing about self-awareness is that people who think they are the most self-aware are often the ones with the most room to improve. And this is difficult for us. I'll be quite honest with you. There are times when I've been asked, you know, you filling out questionnaires and you filling out documents, and they ask you, what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths, and all that. And, you know, we're good at talking about our strengths, but then sometimes it's hard for us to identify or to itemize our weakness, because we have this image of ourselves. And granted, some of us, we know we got some stuff we're working on, but there's a whole lot about us that we haven't come to grips with. Because it's, you know, we got this image of who we are. And sometimes it's the people around us that help us to see we need to work on some stuff, man. It is giving room and for opinions sometimes, to let others that you trust tell me, what do you really think about me? One of my colleagues said to me and his wife in a particular profession, I won't go into what the profession is, but anyway, she asked the individuals in her environment, what did they think about her? And when they got through telling her what they thought about her, and they weren't being mean, they were just being honest. When they finished telling her what they thought about her and their perception of her, she was in tears, because she realized, man, am I all that? Do I need to work on this? Yes. Yes. Sometimes it's the people that are around us that know us like nobody else, that gives us a sense of our deficiencies. My Lord. Number three, the third enemy is the forces of evil. All right. Paul says, again, let me be clear, that evil is everywhere. But if you're going to maximize your ability and arise from the ashes, you have to recognize that evil is out there. The Apostle Paul says in Ephesians 6, he says, verse 12, he says, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers. Look what he says. Against what? Against the rulers of the darkness of this age, of this world. He says spiritual wickedness, a spiritual host, spiritual host of wickedness. They host wickedness. Jesus, good stuff, man. In heavenly place. That's the unseen realm. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day. Evil day, having done all to stand. He says, stand therefore. So here's my point. There are evil forces that fight against our ability and our self-efficacy. And the evil could come in the form of flesh. It could be the embodiment of evil. It could be a supernatural entity in terms of demonic forces. It's real talk, y'all. I'm not trying to get spooky or deep, but it's true. Because something is fighting you. And sometimes it's not the person that you're looking at. But if you don't have a sense of who you are, you think everybody's out to get you. So Peter says in 1 Peter 5:8, he says, be sober. Be sober. Don't be intoxicated with self. He says, be vigilant, watchful, because your adversary, the devil, walks around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Again, he says Satan will roar. His roar is designed to startle you, to cause fear, phobia. He says you have an enemy that sometimes is screaming at you, and he's roaring at you with the past failure. Talk, Holy Ghost. He is screaming at you. He's roaring at you with sin and things you've done wrong, and sees you miss God. He's roaring at you with deficiency in your makeup. He's roaring at you in your deficient your personality. He's roaring at you because he wants to scare you. He wants you to run and hide and not discover who you are, not discover the greatness in you. So it's important that you understand the enemies. Number one, the enemies that fight against our self-efficacy and ability. Number one, a deficiency in our internal self-awareness. A deficiency. I mean, you got to get some supplements. You got to do something to offset that deficiency because it's internal. Number two, a deficiency in our external self-awareness. Sometimes you're around people who enable you. You need to be open to criticism. Think about it. You go to restaurants, and restaurants ask you, give you a questionnaire. You take surveys. How was the meal? You know, they want to know why, because they want to get better, and you can't get better by yourself. You need somebody to help you. That's why you come to church. That's why you sit up under strong leadership. Hello, somebody. That's why you get a word that will activate and that will motivate you to greatness. That's what I'm doing today. And number three, the third enemy is the forces of evil. All right, gotta go. Now, it's time to rise from the ashes. It's time to arise from that broken place. It's time to, no more excuses, no more procrastination, no more if I woulda, coulda, shoulda. You wake up one day and life would have passed you by. Season where God has positioned you to be impactful in the world, and season where God has given you the ability to do something, and you're sitting on your gifts. You're sitting on your talents. You're sitting on opportunities. Arise, arise, and place a demand on your ability. Hello, somebody. All right, got to go. Hey, man, let's do it, man. 2021. What pandemic? Let's do it. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the pandemic. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Tell yourself, I cannot be stopped. Tell yourself, I will not stop. Tell yourself, no one will stop me. Tell yourself, I will not stop me. Real talk with the bishop. All right. Now, I need you to go to my I need you to like my page, subscribe, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff, man. Follow me, all right, as I follow Jesus. Again, I want to thank all of you for supporting the vision. Many of you have begun to sow toward the visionary component we're doing with the media system and repairs and all this stuff. Your giving is helping us to do ministry. We've asked for 1,000 people to sow $100, all right, by the March the 28th. It's going to happen, man. I'm just believing God that God is, you're praying now. God, what can I do? Maybe he said, give 100, give 500, give 1,000. I don't know what the Lord going to tell you, but I promise you this. If you pray, he'll tell you something. You'll do with your heart. I'm a witness of that. All right. You can go to our Cash App, $sign Believers, BTWF. You can go to Givelify, Believers Temple. Obviously, is the Givelify on the app. Again, the website is BTWF. Again, thank you for your support. Here's the Bible says you have not because you ask not. So for me not to ask means not to have. I'm going to ask. All right. God bless you. Like the page, love the page, share. Someone needs this word. All right. God bless you. Thank you.